The global cryptocurrency markets in 2023 shows how much market structure and participation has evolved and become institutionalized. And that's according to a report released early last week by Goldman Sachs, one of the world's leading banking institutions. The outgoing year witnessed substantial resilience in crypto markets, with total crypto market cap rebounding from below $1 trillion in mid-2022 to beat $1.5 trillion by this month. On Friday, here in Nigeria, the central bank of the country released a new guideline to commercial banks on crypto asset transactions. In spite of the year-end hustle and bustle, that piece of news did not go unnoticed by industry professionals such as Ola Atose, who is the CEO at KoinKoin Global Network, an African-focused digital assets exchange. It's great to have you in the studios tonight. In spite of the holidays, you made time to be here. Thank you so much. This is your industry, $1.5 trillion. That's a whole lot in total market cap. But I want you to recap the year for me a little bit. Walk me through the digital market so far. They say, what are the ups and downs? I remember FTX, Bank Freedman, but I'm sure there's a whole lot more.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for having me, and Merry Christmas, sir. So just to get straight to the question, there's been several ups, as you just mentioned. We've witnessed an increase, obviously, in market cap, across all cryptocurrency markets. So you have your investment-grade crypto markets like Bitcoin, and of course you have your stable coins like USDT or USDC. As far as Africa is concerned, our focus largely has been on how we can use digital assets to perhaps help us with things like foreign exchange, and also cite the fact that the central bank has finally decided to regulate the space, which I think is good news for Nigerians and obviously for people like myself in the business.
But the wider global crypto market this year has got through quite a bit of tips and turns when you look at it from the global perspective.
Yes, of course. So we can certainly discuss some of the larger firms. Obviously, Binance got fined about 4.3 billion, I think, by the SEC. I think that was last month, which again is a shame. But there's been a lot of innovation in the space this year, in sort of the areas of KYC and obviously knowing who your customer is and making sure, we as an entity on board, users who are free from any encumbrances of the law and whatnot. And I think what the CBN is doing is actually going to help us out doing what we already do. And given the maturity since the original ban, which is almost 3 years ago, there's been a lot of maturity in the space for us. We've been able to innovate and develop a variety of plugins that allow us to, keep the bad actors out, so to speak. So yes, 2023 has been a good year. Certainly a good year for us, a good year for digital assets as a whole. The central bank, notwithstanding a lot of regulatory bodies around the world, have come up with virtual asset services providers, regulations. Right?
I've just taking that straight out of my mouth, because when you talk about regulatory and security issues in the crypto market for this year, what lessons have we learned so far about why we need regulation, why it is important for everyone, why does it provide some level of comfort for everyone in the room as far as the crypto market is concerned?
Well, I have been calling for regulations for quite some time. My background is in sell-side investment banking, so I have worked with regulators throughout my entire career. And I feel that there's a lot we've been able to learn in the traditional finance space. And I think it would be a shame not to apply that to this sort of new emerging technology of DLTs and blockchains and layer 2s and what have you. So I think bringing what we already know to this new space is great. I think it's a great idea. I think it will bolster the space. And now, as we move into 2024, there's obviously a lot of talk about ETFs, and a lot of the large hedge funds are now in this space. I think now is the perfect time for the CBN to sort of jump in and get involved, not just to protect the ecosystem, to protect companies like ourselves, but also to protect the Nigerian user.
For someone like you spent, like you said, spent some of your years in sell-side banking, so I'm sure you understand regulation, you understand KYC and all of that, and why it's important to have everyone on the same page. So when you look at the central bank a few days ago, coming up towards the end of the year, and say, look, we're stepping back from where we were 2-3 years ago, and revising the guidelines for banks as far as holding assets in crypto are concerned, even though banks are still not allowed to trade on their own account. So I'm sure being a banker before and now you're in the new world of crypto business, it gives you a better view of this world and the new world, in a manner of speaking. So talk to me, what do you think the central bank is trying to achieve right now with this reversal or review of the existing guidelines, and what that will mean for the industry moving forward into the new year?
Well, I think it's a necessary first step. There is, as I mentioned, there is need to regulate what's being called the virtual asset services providers, of which we're one, and again, around the world, different regulators are using that term. And I think it's for as far as the CBN is concerned, it's a necessary first step for them to step in and regulate the VASPs as they exist, know who they are, say get us to register through the the necessary points to ensure we are known, and we go through registration and hopefully get authorized formally by the central bank. Once that happens, I'm certain there'll be growth and there'll be more understanding of how it all works. And I'm certain that the CBN will certainly be open to having banks perhaps maybe trade in some sort of way in virtual assets.
Moving into the future.
Moving into the future.
Somewhat. Yes. As you see some banks, globally speaking, on Wall Street now, doing allowing crypto trading, sort of in some of those. But again, when you look at the key initiatives and innovation from the organization as a digital asset exchange is what I'm trying to understand. What does that mean for the investors and those who participate on your exchange?
Well, you have different types of investors, right? So you have, the educated investor who perhaps knows what they want to do,
and folks like myself.
Well, a greater understanding of what their money can do and where they want to put their money, right? And of course, you have those who are still looking for some sort of education, on how to sort of, what is Bitcoin? How do I go about it?
Yeah.
So I think the onus is on us, and we've done a lot of work over the years to educate people, on what digital assets actually are. We tend to want to move away from the word cryptocurrency because it does a disservice to the industry. Digital assets in and of themselves can be stable. They can be investment free or investment grade. So as we're concerned, we're focused heavily on stable coins, which are backed by the US dollar directly. And we have allowed our users to be able to store value from their Naira directly in things like USDT and USDC. The benefits of that would be, as that increases, the demand for Naira will also increase, thereby helping us with our foreign exchange issue.
Interesting.
So this is,
how did you survive the last few years with the central bank shutting out the banks from the marketplace in a manner of speaking?
Well, we are a Pan-African company. We're also global. So we have other jurisdictions which were more friendly to us when we weren't getting what we wanted from the central bank. But we're happy that the central bank is putting its arms around us, and we look forward to sitting down and working with them.
But the previous regulation by the central bank did it actually stop crypto trading or digital asset trading, or was it just that the banks couldn't deal with it? What was changing this time around?
It was restricted. So previously, the central bank, in all fairness, didn't ban digital assets. They simply restricted the banks from banking companies, that provided those services. So obviously people then went to P2P, but the banks again didn't really permit that. And of course, the central bank has obviously clarified its position. They want digital asset exchanges like ourselves to become registered financial institutions, right? And I think again that's a very necessary first step to identifying who we all are, and at the same time, giving the Nigerian user a safer access to our ecosystem.
So under the new revised regulation or guidelines for the banks, KoinKoin would have to be formally unveiled in the market, in manner of speaking.
Yes.
The central bank knows you, the market knows you, or everyone knows who KoinKoin is and a few others. Is that what the new horizon is? Indeed it is.
And I know that a bit
more of disclosure.
Yes, of course. And I know that a lot of the innovators would say, well, the original idea behind, virtual assets was for us to have things like decentralized finance, no third parties, I can deal with you, nobody needs to know. I mean, listen, that can still go on.
Yes.
But you would like to know who I am before you give me your money, right?
Yes.
And I need to know who you are
before I take your money.
Can
be, if you're moving millions, you're not going to tell me. Well, even in normal banking.
It could be your
money. But at least we, you're dealing with an XY institution.
Exactly. And I think, as you've just mentioned, it's necessary for us to understand, under the sort of guidelines of the FATF, what the travel rule will look like. And I'm sure the central bank will be interested to know, what people can actually do with digital assets. You know, do we have a tiering system, which we do? How much access can we give to users? You want to give them access to $1 million, or do you want to start small, you know, on a user by user basis, you know? So things like that.
So you don't burn the bridge.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't burn the bridge. So we want to start. We've created a system which allows users to start slow, and if they want to do more, then we do an enhanced, you know, check. KYC to understand, you know, their source of funds and all these sort of things. So that's what we've done.
$1.5 trillion in market cap this year. How much money did you make this year at KoinKoin?
Well, the year's not over yet, you know. So let's see what we do this next week.
But do you see now that the horizon has been cleared? It looks like you folks are the ones who got the best news of the year from Central Bank just before Christmas.
We're not complaining. You know, again, I applaud the Central Bank for, you know, for doing this, and I think the benefits, you know, for the central bank in one of their main, you know, what they're trying to do, you know, bolster up the naira. I think this will really help that, and we're excited.
What do you see in the next 5 years for the digital asset space in Nigeria and globally speaking? 1.5 trillion. You think we're doing 3 trillion? Do you think with the new revised guideline by the central bank, the market is going to jump in the new year once folks are done with these celebrations?
Well, I think the market is going to jump anyway. I think the market was already jumping. This is really good news because Nigeria is one of the you know, largest users of cryptocurrency in the world. So this is good news. It will bolster, you know, your Bitcoins, your Ethereums, you know, everything's going to go up. That's my view. You know, not financial advice.
You gotta put a glass of wine on the table for me to celebrate this one. But it's congratulations to you and your team and everyone there out there in the world of digital assets in Nigeria. Thank you so much. It's good having you here on a Monday evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much. We wish you all the best. Ola Atose, who is the CEO at KoinKoin Global Network.